Well, thank you all so much for allowing us to present on behalf of Colorado's Department of Public Health and Environment's Water Quality Control Division. As Beth mentioned, my name's Kindra Greentree. I am the Water Quality Planner. I work in the Restoration and Protection Unit alongside the non-point source and TMDL teams. I am joined today by Kenan Diker, the Agricultural Non-Point Source Project Coordinator, as Beth mentioned, and we've been invited to share the Colorado Watershed Ready Action Program tool with you guys today. We will probably refer to it as the RAP as we go through. It's one of several examples of mapping and data analysis tools developed in partnership with Colorado State University's One Water Solutions Institute, or OWSI. So we also have Tyler Weibel, who's with us today. He's the Associate Director of Software Development with OWSI. And we're giving Tyler a little break from presenting today, but he is going to be available, as well as Kenan, to answer some of those technical development questions that you all may have. So I'll get started with an overview here. We're going to start with just kind of a brief overview of who we are at the Water Quality Control Division and what we do. And then we'll move to why this tool matters to the division, what our long-term vision was when developing this tool, and what the key purpose of the tool and functions that it has. And then Kenan will walk us through a live tool demonstration, and it'll kind of show the various capabilities of the tool. And then we'll discuss the challenges and how we adapted along the way, lessons learned, and then what we foresee the future of this tool looking like. We will wrap things up with some questions and discussions. I got to say, we used that pun developing this tool way too many times, but and then as Beth mentioned, I just do want to encourage you guys to pop questions in the chat as we go through the presentation, and hopefully we'll be able to kind of address those as we go, and nothing slips your mind by the end of the presentation. All right, so what is the Water Quality Control Division and what do we do? So in Colorado, the state's Water Quality Control Division within the Department of Public Health and Environment handles day-to-day work of implementing the Clean Water Act. So while the EPA kind of has oversight to ensure the state's program meets federal requirements, the division monitors and reports on the quality of the state's waters to prevent water pollution, protect, restore, and enhance the quality of surface and groundwater. And similar to probably what other water divisions in your states might do, we inspect water systems, we issue permits, we ensure compliance, take action against entities who violate state and federal regulations. And we also work in partnership with utilities, counties, and other agencies to oversee, improve, and maintain quality drinking surface and groundwater. So for context as well, you'll see the WQCC off to the right there in the little yellow box. So that's the Colorado Water Quality Control Commission, and that's the rulemaking body that's responsible for setting the state's water quality standards.
Indra, are you moving the slides?
Oh, did I not? I think I'm still on the right slide.
This is the initial slide.
Oh, I'm sorry. There we go. It was moving on my end. I have two different screens. Thanks, Kenan. I appreciate it. Sorry, this was the general overview here. And then moving on here to, this is the slide that I was mentioning. So there's the WQCC there, just to the right of the Water Quality Control Division. Sorry about that. Thanks, Kenan. And so, yeah, the WQCC is the rulemaking body that's responsible for setting the state's water quality standards and regulations. And the commission and the division, they function in a complementary way where the commission handles policy and rulemaking, and the division carries out the day-to-day implementation. So just to provide a little more understanding of the structure of the division, there are two sections within the division. There's the drinking water and the clean water sections. So we are in the clean water section, and it consists of several units, including Restoration and Protection Unit. And the Restoration Protection Unit consists of the non-point source program, the WAYS, which is the Watershed Analysis and Implementation System program, also known as TMDL, and the Water Quality Planning program. So our long-term vision for this project really consisted of answering questions of why and how. Why are watershed-based plans important to the division, and how can we help streamline the production of these plans while ensuring accuracy and consistency with requirements? So there's a lot of benefits to having watershed-based plans in place. Watershed-based plans establish framework for watershed management. They inform partners about water quality restoration and protection needs and facilitate implementation of BMPs. So if you're thinking about this from a TMDL perspective, which many of you might be, the TMDL is going to be that technical document that calculates pollutant loads, right? But it doesn't necessarily specify which projects, where, or when. A watershed-based plan acts like a roadmap. So it fills this gap by identifying the most critical areas within a watershed for restoration and prioritizing projects for the greatest benefit. In many cases, developing a watershed-based plan is a prerequisite for receiving critical funding, such as Clean Water Act Section 319 grants for non-point source pollution projects. So in essence, I would say the TMDL sort of sets that load reduction target, and the watershed-based plan sort of provides a roadmap on how to get there. The division's non-point source program provides 319 funding to watershed groups to develop and implement these plans. However, the plans must meet the EPA's 9 key elements to be eligible. So in our partnership with CSU's One Water Solutions Institute, the division developed the RAP tool. And they developed it to streamline the creation of the 9-element watershed-based plans, attempting to drastically reduce the time and cost associated with the development of these plans, provides centralized access to current watershed data, maps, and other information from various state and federal databases. The tool provides generated maps, data, figures, and customizable Word document with guidance prompts and resources to complete the 9-element watershed-based plan. And this tool is also developed to improve the accuracy and transparency of the water quality data analyses by populating the template with consistent watershed-specific information that addresses past issues that we've seen pretty often of incomplete data and calculation errors. So developing these watershed-based plans and analyzing data from various state and federal databases can be really time-consuming, pretty expensive, and it doesn't really always feel feasible, I'm sure, to a lot of regions. They require a lot of research. There's a large amount of data collection, technical skills are needed, and a lot of stakeholder engagement is required. In the past, we were seeing a wide range of errors in these plans as they were being submitted. Lots of incomplete data sets and incorrect load reduction calculations. Stakeholder experience and expertise really varies significantly. I'm sure you can all relate. And that can be really challenging when you're developing these kinds of tools. So we've had a lot of staff that had to spend a lot of time with plan developers, just helping them understand what the requirements of the plan are. So we really felt like our stakeholders deserved more guidance and direction than we really felt we could provide. The RAP tool enhances efficiency and provides a centralized hub for data access for division staff, stakeholders, and other water quality professionals. And this drastically reduces the time and cost these plans require, which allows staff to focus resources on more important things right in front of them, like implementation and investigations, rather than manually gathering data and analyses. So looking into the future, we anticipate this tool will not only save our stakeholders time and money, but they may also save the division time and money as well. So here's just some quick screenshots of what these reports that are generated through this tool look like. Kenan's going to walk through one of these reports during the live demo as well, but this is just for a basic understanding of what these reports are as I discuss them in these next few slides here. So the reports include maps, data, figures, and then this downloadable like Word document. But the Word document has guidance prompts and resources that you need to kind of complete an approved 9-element plan. So you see the blue text here, and that's going to be mostly instructions or recommendations. There's resources that are included in the reports, and all of these are just to help the user complete the report. So when they're done filling it out and inputting all of their information, then they can delete the blue text, which is just sort of that instructional text. And although you can edit these documents and they're really customizable, this plan is really focused on non-point sources of pollution, and the relevant context should be retained to meet all 9 elements requirements for future implementation funding. So this map here, you can find this through the QR code here on the picture, but also on our website. It depicts where there are already watershed-based plans in place across the state of Colorado. And you can see here that there are a lot of areas that aren't colored in, which means there are no plans in place in a lot of these areas. And I think, mostly that's because it's just not feasible. They don't have anyone to do those plans. They don't have the resources. They don't have the funds. It's not, as I mentioned, the plans, they serve as a framework for resilient watersheds, but you can also gain priority points for funding opportunities because they demonstrate readiness, coordination, and local commitment. All of these things really increase the likelihood of project success. So there's less risk involved and they're more shovel ready. All right. So the journey, the development process. So back in 2020, this was before I was with the division, so Kenan, please correct me if I am incorrect on the date, but I think it was right around 2020, the division and Colorado State University's One Water Solution Institute began developing the tool to serve as a centralized data repository. And it was really something they were needing for comprehensive watershed assessments without having to look in a bunch of different places. The initiative quickly evolved into Watershed Management Plan Tool, leading to a long-term vision of establishing a streamlined process for developing consistent, complete, cost-effective, and feasible 9-element watershed-based plans for stakeholders and other watershed groups. So we asked ourselves, how do we ensure our stakeholders are covering all the 9 elements of these plans so that they are approved by the EPA and that they are eligible for those 319 non-point source funds? So the solution we came up with was to develop access to state and federal databases all in one place, sort of creating this one-stop shop for watershed data, and the development of a template document that encompasses all the required elements of an EPA-approved plan. All right, so the project scope was defined through the objective to develop a consistent framework that guides water quality professionals in creating these compliant watershed-based plans. Key requirements were established based on the EPA 9-element requirements of a watershed-based plan. You can see there's a little picture of the guidance document on the EPA on the picture down at the bottom right corner. And the image on the left shows a clip from the tool. Shows that little option at the top where you can download it as a Word document in the little report, and just for some visuals. And then there's a picture there of what a completed watershed plan looked like that we had. Not super informative, but makes for a nice picture. The core concept and intended uses were really to integrate diverse data sets, federal and state data sets, streamline the watershed assessments, and generate these customizable reports. Key deliverables of the project were the tool itself, complete with the watershed-based plan template, and a Word document that includes the pre-formatted sections and pre-selected data sets for each of the 9 elements. And then also detailed guidance and instructions explaining how the tool is to be used and how to complete the sections in the template is also a deliverable. And then in the future, we'll also have a video guidance video that will be, you'll be able to find on the web page as well, but we haven't gotten that shared with everyone quite yet. All right, so I am now gonna turn it over to Kenan to do a quick live demonstration and show you guys tool in action.
All right. Good afternoon for Eastern people, and good morning on the Western side. There are a couple questions I think I'll go through very quickly if I can. Let's see. One of them is, do you include drinking water sources in the data and prioritization for area and project? We do or not, but it is not really in the projects. So I would say not for non-point sources specifically in the model. The other one is, are the resources, back-end development, databases, formats, codes, open source for other states to modify and adopt a similar tool? I think that is doable. Tyler, what you think on that one? What portion of TMDLs are in out of 319 watersheds in Colorado? I think that is gonna be very different because there are certain areas we don't even have TMDLs developed for. But the example I picked is including a TMDL developed, and I will show that. And the last question standing is, how much did the aggregation of data cost and how long did it take? I think that is basically ultimately the goal of this project initially, since data collection for both actual TMDL and watershed-based management plan development is the largest part of the cost and time. We created this model to basically get all that data with one click from all the resources available out there. Now, development of the model was a while, as initially thought that it was a data depository, so that you go get a data like individually. And then it turned out to be a planning tool, which is I think the ultimate result right now, so that it spits out a template to fill in the blank kind of deal that Kindra was talking about with recommendations, suggestions. So the last question before I move into the tool, how does the tool interact with the previously developed management plans? It looks like it is a good tool for new plans, but in your previous shown map, the water greatly in the overall size. I don't know if I can really answer that question. Really, it is definitely good for new plans, but it is also be able to utilize for the updates or renewals, as all the watersheds will be developing and or losing water quality along the way. So incorporating new information and changes in the watershed, I think the model will be useful. So is there a common model used for the background, such as SWOT, bathtub? No, not really. This is basically specific the collection of data and then displaying it as for information. We do have other projects to run SWOT model to be able to develop some loads and load reductions. With that, I will be sharing my screen. This one.
Excuse me, Kenan.
Yes.
This is Beth. Hi. Was wondering if you might be able to go back up to the beginning of those first few questions. I know you folks were answering them in the chat, but for those of us who may not have been able to absorb your presentation while reading the chat, or
Sure.
also for future listeners, because the webinar will be available on YouTube for others down the road, that would be really helpful.
Absolutely. So the first question was, what HOC scale are the current watershed plans? In the model, as Tyler responded, it can use HOC 10, HOC 12, HOC 10, and HOC 8. We also incorporate county level modeling or tool, which is mostly for 208 facilities which are at the HOC level or multiple HOC levels. So are there similar tools for other state, or has there been any discussion in the expansion of the RAP tool? I do not really know if there is any, but expansion of the RAP tool could be, relatively speaking, easy. But of course, right now it is cookie cut to Colorado, but it uses, for the most part, I would say, national data sources. So, and then addition to those national data sources, we provide water quality classification and TMDL data sets, as well as 303D listings to CSU. So those needs to be provided by the state. And Tyler's response was there has been conservations about this in the past, but since CDPHE is the primary funder of this tool with AUSI, focus has remained limited to state of Colorado. So again, it is very doable. It is, in my opinion, very expandable to other states with relatively small effort. Is that the... I think that is it, unless something new came. No. So I think that is, I caught each and every one of them. Please let me know if I missed anything. With that, I will go back to this. So it took a few years to put together the model for basically data depository. And by the way, you guys see my screen, right? Just double checking.
Yes.
Great. So it took several years to put it together. Of course, we run into issues here and there. And then to make it more useful, and as Kindra said, a more structured development of a watershed-based management plan, we thought, hey, we have the data to develop watershed-based management plan. We spent thousands of dollars, tens of thousands of dollars. Why not we convert this databases, collection of databases into a management plan development? As she also mentioned, we ran into over the years different quality of management plans. These are usually, which we like to have, developed by the locals. Sometimes we lack the capacity to develop management plans in one or multiple sections. So hopefully to provide a template and to provide a recommendations to how to write a specific section and provide resources to write those specific sections to the locals, we ended up developing this tool to get there. It is relatively simple to use. Actually, it is very simple to use. As you see, this is the landing page. As soon as you type the link, this is where you're gonna end up with. It basically says it is a data collection and summary tool to bring together several data sets. And one step ahead is the development of the watershed-based management plans. There is a landing page. This is gonna take you to CSU's website. You can launch the tool from there too, or get information, further information. There is a link for a user guide. As long as you follow the user guide, you are in good shape to use it. And then, as you see in this corner, report a bug. Same thing, it is in here. If you click on it, it allows user to put any issues they run into so that we work on it. And so far, knock on the wood, we don't have any issues with this version. So you can report any issues. And the other icon we have is feedback survey. And you can provide feedback so that we collect data if who is accessing to it, what kind of users we are getting, and that kind of statistics we developed out of it. And the other thing is on the other end, inline map, it says. Now I will take it back to the, this is the landing page, right? If you click on inline map, it is gonna basically allow you to see both text and the map at the same time. If you double click on it, it is gonna open up whole map. So you can manage the tool the way you want it, to, the way you are comfortable with. So those are the basically couple specific things you need to know before you hop into the development of management plan and use of the tool. Under the known boundaries, we have to select a boundary to work with. So the one under the boundary type, as we responded to comments, we have HOC 12s, HOC 10s, HOC 8s, and county level scale we work. Now, you guys should know that as you go from HOC 8 to HOC 10 to HOC 12, what you are going to be losing is basically data. You know, as you go smaller scale, you are going to be running into data issues, which create data gap. The other thing user can do is if your data set is not fitting into these HOCs, and it is custom shaped boundary. So the model allows you to upload it either in a shapefile, zipped format, or JSON file. I never use this one. I am a GIS person, so I always stick with shapefile. So that will, as soon as you upload it, the model is gonna work the same way it will work for these. So I picked a HOC 12. I think it is Myton-Seaman reservoir. Once you, I'll go back. I'll go a little bit slow. So first thing I will do is I will select HOC 12, which is I picked one. So what I want to do is I want to work with this HOC 12. So I have to select it. Once I select it, two things happen. One side is tells me to, hey, report template. As long as, which I will click in a minute, as soon as you click on it, it is gonna start processing the data and putting the template together for you. On the flip side, you may not be interested in developing template, and you might be only interested in looking in some data sets in your watershed, right? So you can go ahead and pick and choose, actually pick and choose and load and view. If I click on it, it says I am loading it, and then it is gonna say view. Next step would be. So so basically it does two things. So it is now view, I can view it. And in terms of maps and information. Oops. So so it does, again, two things. it develops the template for you for a 9-element management plan. And then 2, if you're not interested in some variety of data, don't forget this was initially developed for data collection and display and summarize. You can do that too. So what I will do is I will pick my hub again. One more step, one more time, you guys are seeing the process, and I will select it. And now I will show you this part at the end. So what I'm gonna do is, all I did is pick my hub 12, and I am clicking on this. And then I will sit back and roll my thumb, watching the process going on the screen. What it is doing right now is it is going through each and every pre-selected parameters that we like in the management plan, and it is bringing up and clipping to the size of actually they are pre-clipped, size of the HOC 12. So it is done with several. Right now it is still working on prism, topography, imperviousness, and land use. So for a HOC 12, it basically takes 3 to 4 minutes. And if you go up to HOC 10, I believe it is 8 or so minutes, maybe 9. And of course, as you go larger, the time will expand. Way back when we did it, we were live accessing to the old data, and it is, of course, it would go get it. If you search for it, go get it, clip it, and then display it. So it was taking too much time. So we right now clip everything previously and then bring it up. So it should take another minute to finish it. And once it is done, it is gonna basically switch the screen to a management plan template that it developed in HTML. One more. It is taken a little bit long. One of them is done. Now working on 2. So imagine it is going through 5, 9, 10, 12, 14, 16, 17. 17 data sets it is going and bringing up. Imagine if you are collecting to write either a TMDL or a watershed-based management plan, how many weeks, months it would have taken to collect all these data instead of like 4 or 5 minutes, 3 to 5 minutes, or 4 minutes. Last 2, it is working on it. The topography and actually land use, it actually gathers quite a bit of data together with maps. Well, it does it for several parameters. As we see in the template, it works with, it summarizes and assigns the area and percentage of those lands it is dealing with, and it is done. If you don't blink, you have seen it when it is done. So what you are seeing is the template in HTML. Correct me if I am wrong, Tyler. This is the most robust version of report development as we run into other formats to develop it. Now, what it is it creates the, as I said, robust version of it. But what it allows us, let me, before I click this one, if your internet is a little bit poor on that day you are running, you can either rerun it or because the figures sometimes get a little bit off. Basically, there is a warning sign how to fix that. If you don't want to rerun it, remember 3 to 4 minutes. You can always rerun it with a better internet or fix it through this directions. So what I'm gonna do right now is move my template into a Word document. All I need to do is one click, and one click only. As you see, this popped up in here, and if I go in there and click on it, it is gonna just bring it up in a Word document. Here it is. So and I'm gonna click on enable editing. So what you right now have is, oops, report 11, it went the other way here. Your template is ready to go. Now, I have done this previously. I will bring it over on top of this one, and I will explain the process and how this management plan can be used for TMDL development also. Because several sections, if not all, except maybe a couple, are different. They all have the same title and similar data in it. So there is a first instruction. All the blue text is recommendations, guidance, and instructions how to write specific sections that to create 9-element EPA's 9-element management plan. I use it alternating ways. They are all the same. Management plan, watershed-based management plans, 9-element management plans, you name it. So the person developed the template, the sections, was really a true planner, management plan person. And so I think the structure she put together was great. And so what it does is provide some definitions for the management-based plans, and talk about those 9 elements plans, or the elements that Kindra was talking about. Don't be fooled though. If you look at the guidance, EPA's guidance, which I'm going to show you in a minute, each and every element, those 9 elements, has 4 or 5 different elements to include in a good management plan. So it basically, tool basically provides you with that crosswalk too. So that is also thought of. Ultimately, we develop these management plans. One, Kindra said, provide funding, which requires a management plan in hand for your watershed. But also our ultimate goal of 2, 1 is protection of the water quality in area through controlling non-point sources. And then 2, if streams are impaired, restoring that. If there is a TMDL, we rely on TMDL too to develop load reductions in this case. And it provides information, initial information, I would say, for water quality and water quality classifications in Colorado. Everybody wants to be in category 1, and good luck with that. We have several areas with no data. We have TMDL developed segments, and of course we have impaired segments with or without TMDLs. So it is a mixed bag. Again, everybody wants to be in the dark green area, but unfortunately, that is not the reality. It provides acronyms that we commonly use in management plan development, and of course, definitions also. Moving forward a little bit, this is basically where it starts, table of content, and all 9 elements are listed. And of course, we have lessons learned at the end for future improvements of the tool and management plans, right? So here is the basically 9-element management plan development. What we like is a executive summary of whole thing, what kind of issues there was in a sentence or 2 or 3 or a paragraph, and how those can be done, watershed issues, what are the sources, what potential solutions could be. And the crosswalk, as you go and develop your watershed management plan, you can always come back and check, hey, once you are done with the 9-element item 1, element criteria, if you put in goals for restoration and protections are clearly defined, quantified, and truly explained. If you did that, you can come and check this one so that you are, you know that you're done with that element, right? So you go through all those elements. As I said, each element has, let's say this one, this element has 4 specific details that we like to see in a management plan. And so moving forward, coming to a intro 1, each and every watershed-based management plan should have a map. So this is the map of watershed that we are working in right now, right? Meeting Seaman Reservoir, North Fork Kashla-Pudu River, which is northern Colorado, located in northern Colorado. It has about 50 square miles of land, total land in it. For Hawk 12, that is on the higher square mileage, end, I would say higher end, because I think they go from 35 to 50 square miles. And then, of course, a little bit background about the plan as we get into the sections of it. Why this plan was needed? What is the motivation behind it? One motivation Kindra mentioned could be getting funding for it, right? Per non-point source 319 requirements, for funding, you have to have the management plan in hand first, then you can ask for funding. If it is a update, why you are updating it? It could be a very old plan and you are trying to include new changes in the watershed. There could be a new dam, there could be a new or multiple wetlands, or you name it. Changes from urban to rural to urban, I would say, usually goes rural to urban. So incorporate those changes into the management plan. What I'm gonna do is move forward a little bit, and state of watershed I'm gonna come into, and I will show you one more thing right there, 2.1. So state of watershed is one of the bigger sections to basically talk about what kind of watershed you have in terms of physical, chemical, biological terms, right? What kind of characteristics you are dealing with in the watershed. And if you look at it, the watershed we are dealing with has for example, several water segments. One of them is Kashlapudur 07_C. It is good for agriculture and recreation, but the water quality is no good for aquatic life and water supply. So we have impairment, right? So now I draw your attention to this. The Title 2.1 is water quality standards and impairments. And in parentheses in red, I put water quality standards and impairments directly from a TMDL, which is published, I believe, in written in 2024, might be published in 2025. So exact same thing we are talking about, water quality standards and impairments in this section. Now, going a little bit in detail, same segment and 07_C, it is listed for several parameters. There is a TMDL for sediment for it. And then classification is cold. It is, of course, 303D listed. And there is a link button in here. If I right-click on it, and if I open the hyperlink, it is going to take you to the very TMDL written for that segment 4. It was written in 2002 and approved, I believe, July 31st, 2002. So that it provides that information to you also. Going back to my template. So moving forward a little bit, the next thing is watershed characterization in the management plan. Guess what? You have same title in the TMDL, talking about, again, watershed characteristics of all that. This is a little bit more expanded. In here, which similar things you will see in a watershed characterization in the TMDL, hydrology, vegetation, climate, geology, topography, and going forward, precipitation inch per year, or temperature in the watershed, minimum, maximum, mean, you name it. There is a geography. Geography is significant from source determination perspective. For those knowing Colorado or not knowing Colorado, Colorado has shale structure underneath. So when and they are usually sandstone. And this area has sandstone. I am not 100% if it has the shale sandstone or a different sandstone. But knowing there is a sandstone should raise eyes because it releases definitely selenium, sometimes uranium, and all other salts from it, including nutrients, so that if you run into that kind of bedrock, you should be looking into your sources a little bit deeper. It provides you what kind of rock type you have, and what kind of area and percentages it provides, and so on. Like, in sandstone, it is 12 square miles roughly, and it is about 25% of the area. Provides also drainage class, depending on the, of course, rock. One of the sources, uses of the water in Colorado is aquatic life, as we saw a little bit up. So we need to understand what kind of biology we have in the area. Wetlands if wetlands are shrinking or enlarging is like a little bit push with the drought conditions in Colorado. So that tells you a little bit of water quality issues in the area. And then, of course, it tells you what kind of management urgency or protection urgencies per coding it can tell you. Land use and their impacts, land cover are a big deal. It provides you imperviousness. There is a little text in here that stays, it is black. About 0.3% of the area is impervious. So it is mostly rural area, and it basically shows imperviousness over the year, and it is relatively or really small. Land use, two sources actually it provides the summary of NLCD and NAS, and it provides what kind of land use there is or classification, land covers with area and percentages of it, and then more detailed land use in the watershed provided. Human activities, no matter it is point source or non-point source, is gonna be impacting water quality in your watershed. And this basically shows what kind of population you have and what kind of population densities you have depending on where you're at. Looking at the population trend, as you see from 2013 to 2023, there is an increasing population, which is no surprise because it is northern Colorado, relatively speaking, foothills area. It also provides some population information in terms of employment, housing, and housing build information. As far as agricultural impacts, talks summarizes information about irrigated agriculture in terms of irrigated area by different irrigation types and what kind of crops are grown in the area over the years, not specifically this year, but over the years. Division of Water Resources in Colorado develops this or runs this survey every 5 years. So the years should be every 5 years or close to it. Look at 1956, the irrigated irrigation types. Let me do this. Flood irrigation in 1956, data goes all the way to 1956. All the land was irrigated with flood irrigation. Starting from 1976, the orange ones, sprinklers started getting introduced to the area. So that is actually good information as to how water quality might have been changing through or impacted through irrigated agriculture and what kind of cropping change. In this area, not much cropping change we observed. And other information, there is an atmospheric deposition impacts. There is a map, national map we use. The other item, exactly the same, basically watershed assessment and source assessment, one from the management plan. The other one is from the TMDL. Actually, if you look at the 4.2 of this, section 4.2, basically source assessment and pollutant source identification. What it does is basically provides you summary of common parameters in that area in that area. Basically, it directs you to provide this kind of information for your watershed. And physical and biology in the area issue could be E. coli, and then what the potential sources coming from, and then what kind of impacts either on human or aquatic life or whatever the uses we are dealing with could be impacted. The other issue could be in your watershed area, dissolved oxygen. It might be coming from what sources, point and non-point sources, and what kind of issues it might be creating, like aquatic life. That directs you what to put in. I will jump to the and then other directions that give how to fill in your or populate your model. And there is environmental justice considerations. I don't know where it stands now, but it is there. Section 6 is pollutant load reduction necessary, and TMDL and allocations, basically same thing. We do not impose any load reduction calculations or estimates. Whatever model you use, we accept it. The way we calculate the load reductions, we calculate the load under the water quality standard, X amount, and then current standards, and then we the difference would be load reductions we want to get to. That could be potentially from both point and non-point sources, but of course, in non-point sources, we only deal with non-point sources in our program. Similar things, implementation plan and TMDL implementation. Kindra mentioned that TMDL doesn't really go into specifics of the implementation, especially for non-point source reductions. But the best management practices really try to at least specify it. I will go to here. It basically suggests, depending on what you have in your parameter and pollutant sources, it suggests use of specific BMPs. Again, it is not prescribed, it is suggested. And so that user or the developer of the best management practices, since they have local information as to what kind of BMPs could be applicable in their area, can pick and choose one BMP over the other. I will jump onto this one. This is an example BMP estimation from PLAT for those dealing with load reductions for nutrients and sediment may know. This is an EPA model, actually recently updated, I would say 3-4 years ago. So it basically, if you are dealing with those parameters, PLAT will let you know what kind of load reductions based on what BMP you are installing. It's going to give you that percentage or fraction to use. So if you are a implementer, you probably, if it is suitable in your area, you probably pick the highest yielding, and assuming it is feasible to implement, right? Highest yielding BMP for your purposes and in your area. Moving a little bit forward, and based on cropland best management practices, you can also implement those. So depending on the best management practices, this is for nutrients. For example, selenium control with or without TMDLs, there are like different BMPs, could be overlapping with this, but some BMP developed for one or implemented for one parameter may be used for controlling other parameters too. So sometimes one bird, one stone, two birds, right? Or multiple birds. Going a little bit forward, public participation is from TMDL, and public education and outreach is a big deal in our management plan development. We like the stakeholders involved from each and every background so that we can cover them all, so that their issues addressed well, so that the ultimate or the management plan is not shelved, but it is we can develop with the involvement of the participants or stakeholders. We can develop a more implementable best management plan to implement best management practices in the area. So that is our ultimate goal, basically, to implement better management plans developed by, for, and implemented by locals to be successful. One thing could be different from TMDLs is we require or we want a monitoring and assessment plan if we are implementing or when we are implementing BMPs. We like to know what kind of water quality benefits we are getting from these implementations. So what we try to do is, in our plans, let's say we implement best management practices in January 2026. We try to monitor water quality until then to see what kind of water quality we are dealing with, unless we have plenty of data. And then we continue to monitor water quality afterwards and see what kind of water quality improvements, hopefully changes, I should say. Sometimes it goes the other way, depending on the several factors impacting the water quality. So what kind of changes we are running into? One. Two is what kind of efficiency from we are getting from those best management practices. That is basically refers to this table right here. The efficiency of the best management practices are different from one to the other. So we are trying to develop a database of water quality BMP efficiencies to improve water quality, and probably different areas and for different parameters. Ultimately, and last thing we like to know is what kind of lessons we learned from developing this watershed-based management plan. So if everything worked, great. What we would have done differently? And those are the questions we should ask. If we were able to include all the stakeholders that we should or should have been involved, if we include variety of stakeholders, right? Some of them could be agriculture, some of them could be animal feeding operations, some of them could be, you name it, stormwater or return water. So if we include all of them, or why we were not able to include all of them. So all those questions we should ask to figure out what would have worked better, or if everything worked great, how we can take those lessons learned, the way develop and implement it somewhere else. Develop a better watershed-based management plan somewhere else using those experiences. So with that, I am good with the template, but I said I was gonna show you a couple things in here. As I said, your goal may not be developing a template for a best management practices. You might be just going in and checking some data in your watershed, right? So I'll go to this time land use, and I will go to irrigated agriculture. And for irrigated agriculture, what is gonna bring it is a summary of we have seen. So like this is crop type. See the crop type, there were like 4 crops type in 1956, if we are to go all the way there. But in recent years, it is down to 2, right? You can always switch these irrigation type. In 1956, irrigation was only flood. And along the way, the sprinkler irrigations picked up until 2020. Crop types, you can similar things, and if you want to see it in the map where they are at, we can change this crop type to irrigation type and how it has changed over the years. Like this is 2020. Let's see irrigation type. So see how it is changing. Actually, some irrigation is coming up in here. Watch 2020. So these areas brought under irrigation through sprinkler systems. Whatever the issue was at the time, maybe it was terrain. Now with the sprinklers, you can you are able to irrigate it through sprinkler systems. So it provides all that information. Not enough. You can download all those informations by just clicking download button and getting the zip file. This is for the picture. You can also download these guys. If you click on this 3, I guess hamburger thing, and then download them the way you want it. So it allows user, provides user a functionality of not only display it, but also download and make a use of it. I will take you back to the this and talk about since this is a TMDL group, talk a little bit more about the TMDLs. So you are interested only in TMDL in this watershed, right? So it specifically shows what TMDLs, where the TMDLs was located, one of them, right? And then what is the, what you guys call it, coverage area for it. So TMDL and non-TMDL areas. If you double click on this, actually, yeah, TMDL document, you can access from here, the TMDL document. And you also have seen non-point source watershed-based plan. This is the base plan developed in 2020. You can access both of them at one location. Similarly, so in terms of text, you can also access them from these links from here, whichever is easier. So same thing, it allows you basically access to the information as many places as possible. And it also provides what kind of information we are using and from where. And this is EPA, and then CDPHE information. So whatever information we put in, we put in the source of it. Variety of information in here, wildfire extent, historic ones, and risk assessments. Of course, land use, right? Ownership, population, you name it. What else? Environmental sources, ecoregion, atmospheric deposition. Let's look at that one. The last thing, I'll show you this and wrap it up. View. And this is coming from National Atmospheric Deposition Program, and that is basically nitrogen deposition in the watershed we are interested in. And let me make it a little bit smaller, or you can choose whatever the parameter you like to see. This is ammonium. And look at the chloride, for example. So ultimately, in summary, I will turn it back to Kindra and answer questions that you may have. But ultimately, the tool not only comes up with a watershed-based management plan that is compliant with the EPA's 9-element requirements, but also provides several other data sets that you may be interested in your watershed for any kind of problem or issues that you may have to develop, I don't know, TMDLs, you name it, or other water quality issues. With that, I think I am good. Back to Kindra.
All right, wonderful. Thanks so much, Kenan. That was great. We do have a few more slides. I'm going to try to run through them really quickly so we have a little time for Q&A and discussion here at the end. But I think that live demo, covered probably a lot of questions that you all had. So, but just to follow up here, when you're developing these types of tools, it's never going to be really straightforward. There's always going to be a lot of complexity and a lot of technical hurdles to overcome. The vast scale of the data sets alone and the analyses really created some issues. Different iterations of the tool can really show that to you, and I'll get to different iterations and versions here in the next slide as well. But we had a lot of issues with the data loading, slowly, like Kenan was mentioning, like some of these large data sets, it's going to take a while for these to upload and display on your screens. Build and deployment challenges. So ALSI has a what they call ERAMs. It's their Environmental Resource Assessment and Management System. And it's and there's cloud service integration platforms. And so they're always updating those. And as we're developing the tool, integrating some of that geospatial data and analytics doesn't always match up. So we had some environment mismatches there occasionally. So as the platforms got updated, the tool would get moved to the newest version of the tool would get moved to the newest platform just for compatibility. So we ran into a lot of that. There were some data restrictions, as we mentioned, and some of the chat questions I think covered this as well. But yeah, a lot of the data we were hoping to get, live on the fly, but that didn't really turn out to really be that feasible. There are restrictions from our T department on certain types of data that we have to manually put in and manually provide for CSU to update on a regular basis. So that was definitely, an obstacle that we did not foresee. Handling watershed boundaries outside of the state of Colorado was also something that we kind of struggled with for a little bit about what was the best way to move forward with that. So this is a Colorado-based tool, right? But we're talking about watersheds. I think we decided to take a more holistic approach there and really include all of the watershed data within all of the data within the watershed. So we didn't clip it to the state boundaries, which, maybe if you were to do this in your state, you might consider doing that. I think that's very much a decision that each state could make on their own if you did have a tool like this. Some performance optimization hurdles. Like I said, the watershed scale data issues and having those cache data sets opposed to the live pulling of data straight from their APIs. Not all of that did not work out. There's a little bit of user confusion too for the pre-populated templates that we weren't really anticipating, but it really directed us to rework the format and make everything which more easily interpreted. So all in all, that just sort of helped user usability of the tool and of the reports. QA/QC was quite an obstacle. I don't think that we really anticipated the vast amount of time that was going to be needed to review such a large data set and such a really all-encompassing tool like this. So our partners at CSU and the internal division staff, these are staffs that are not really involved in the development of the tool, but we all spent a lot of time quality controlling the tool itself and the data that was being presented. We also had to really quality control the reports that were being generated and, be sure that there's consistency there and that we didn't have any even just little grammatical errors that we're finding as we went along the way. So just some things to keep in mind if you're looking to develop a tool like this. And so, yeah, adaptations and iterations as we move through. We thought we were finished. We thought we were finished in early 2024. And it was up and running and available. And then we started getting feedback from some users that templates were coming back empty, maps weren't working, the format wasn't consistent. We got feedback on the model creating, like I said, blank maps. The data and the maps were kind of all going into this appendix opposed to not really flowing through the report in the correct sections that they were relevant to. So just little things like that we were able to address as we kind of just kept adapting and reworking to make it the most user-friendly and comprehensive as we could. So, although these are all really valid concerns, sometimes the solution for this tool, just because it is such a vast all-encompassing tool, it just something as simple as refreshing the page would allow for like that adequate time and for the data to load and those maps to kind of come back correct. So it's just been a learning experience as we've been moving through here. So lessons learned. So key takeaways of what went well. I think we began the process with really clear objectives and goals. Communication between the division and ALSI, I think for the most part went extremely well. ALSI and Tyler specifically was just super responsive and flexible, meeting our needs. We incorporated tools for project management and communication, which I thought was super helpful as we move through the tool. It's, over years of developing a tool, a lot of the little iterations and revisions that we made would, easily could get lost, but we had this really awesome project management tool, Codebeamer, and that, really just helped us keep track of everything as we move forward and who was responsible for what. The vast amount of data that's available through this tool is something to note. I think that was a huge success, having all these data sets all in one place and having them, all QA/QC'd in a single locations for users is just a really big benefit and really should be considered a success. We also expanded data sets beyond the original scope and requirements of the 9 elements of the watershed-based plans, and we'll continue to add additional data sets to things that we find relevant and as data becomes available. And then, of course, the possibility of making this tool available in other states. I think that is a reality and could be super beneficial for your states as well. Things that could be improved. I think our planning could have probably been a little better. We did have the template, but sometimes, things need to be manipulated and formats need to be manipulated to make things work and to make things relevant. I just would like to say that, I wouldn't expect everything is going to work out the way you want initially right off the bat. As we were adding things, other things were breaking. So, this slows down the process and it just takes time. So just understanding the timeline that you might be considering having it be a little more flexible to account for all those challenges that arise. Another lesson learned is the importance of maintaining focus and avoiding scope creep. this was really easy for us because these tools, I mean, they're just never ending, right? You could always improve them. You can always add something. So we were just constantly coming up with these ideas of, oh, we could do this and we could make it do that. But as you guys are probably all really aware, that really can lead to a lot of time delays and even possible budget overruns. So something to keep in mind. If we could do it over, it would have been nice also, I think, to have multiple programmers from the get-go and not just one. These are really long ongoing projects. And if we have just one person, if somebody's out for any reason, the project, can get put on hold. I will say Alzi was really good about moving people around in any of these situations. So it didn't create too big of issues, but just knowing, to have a full staff, I guess, for those reasons is a good way to start. So yeah, so just understand that these tools are dynamic. Developing these tools is a really dynamic process, and you just really need to be able to adapt along the way. All right, so conclusions and future outlooks. Oh, sorry, forgot a slide. So just looking into the future, we have talked about adding load reductions and actual calculation estimates, and that could be something that we add in the future. The previous version, we also had adapted along the way just as adding the upload boundary. So I think that could be probably looked at in the future as well, as far as just those boundaries not always falling within a watershed. A lot of times you're going to be looking at an area of interest that might not follow a county boundary or a watershed boundary. But the upload option that we have should account for that, but we have run into issues in the past. But so, like I said, this is now set to the Colorado boundary, but it is expandable. There's the capacity here to bring together additional data, and we're hoping also to have less crashing as far as with the big data sets and less error messages when you have a slow internet connection. So it is really important to note that if you do have a slow internet connection, there is a possibility that some of these data sets are not going to load and that you will be getting these error messages. So just something to look at in the future. And then also just really incorporating more user and stakeholder feedback as we get it. That's huge. That's really been the biggest driver, I think, in updating and reiterating these reports as we go, is just getting that feedback. So, just want to encourage you all to use that survey and that bug report available on the tool. All right, so this is just a slide here that just has our names and our email addresses if you would like to get a hold of us. Kenan and I are at the top there, the CDPHE team, and then Tyler's email is at the bottom, as well as Dr. Mazdak Arabi, who is the founder and director of the One Water Solutions Institute. And with that, I would love to open it up for questions and discussion or feedback. Or a few questions here that maybe will spur some discussion if we have enough time.
Maybe something along the lines of the success and the return of investment, if Colorado wanted to comment on that at all, about how you're feeling about that.
Yeah, I thought that was a really great question. So I'm not seeing the chats right in front of me here, but the question was really like, how do you plan to measure your return on investment with this tool? And, I think from my perspective, the way that I see this being measured in the future is really, so our non-point source team administers 319 funds for the development of watershed-based plans and also for the implementation projects that are identified in those plans. So if we could have more funds available for the implementation project side of things and less funds needed really for the development of those watershed-based plans, it just is giving more money to the action side of things where things are getting done. And so I think that, the allocation of those funds could be an identifier of a return on investment. But Kenan, I'd be interested to hear what you think as well on that.
No, I think that is, I think I previously mentioned initially before the meeting, we pay sometimes $150,000 for a management plan development. We have been trying to cut that one down. I think right now we are at 70, 80K. Don't quote me on it. But with this, providing this tool to the users, I think if we cut it down to 20K or something to fill in the blank and get the local salt and pepper in the template, I think, and then use rest of the money for implementations which I call real work. I think that would improve the water quality overall. So if we go from 80 to say 20, make it 30, even 40, I think return, I don't know the return calculation yet, but if we cut down the money half, I think that is 50% gain for us. As for the Janet's question, new one, is this tool going to be used by staff to generate plans where there are none? Janet, we might be able to do that, but our preference is locals use this and develop management plans for locals to implement. So I guess we don't want to go from the top. I think we want bottom to come up with it. And then next question is, how is Colorado able to use 319 funding to develop new watershed plans? Stefan, the 319 funding is two-portioned. One of them, 50% is implementation, 50% is program funding. Program funding goes for one, to staff, and then two is we use it for watershed-based management plans. So basically, part of 319, half of 319 can be used for watershed-based management plans. We also supplement those funds, 319 fundings, by what we call as water quality improvement funding, which is the fines assessed to the wastewater treatment facilities or facilities, I would say. And then we also use sometimes, that is, we used to do more revolving funds for the power authority, we call it, funding to supplement both 319 implementation funding, implementations, and watershed-based management plan developments. So we have a little bit flexibility as to where the money comes from.
There's another question in the chat here that didn't get answered. Curious how much of this shift in focus is from Colorado or EPA. I'm always for putting more money on the ground, but it's hard to justify continually updating plans and not doing new plans.
You know, what we consider is we think a plan has to be, when we are approving a updating watershed-based management plan, we consider if that management plan was used, if there is a huge change in the watershed plan so that we fund it, and but if it is not used and younger than 10 years, we probably think twice funding it. So there are not written criterias, but some criterias we look into funding renewals, I would say, management plan. I don't know if that is the direction of answer you are looking for, but that's how we manage it in Colorado.
And I would say this was initiated by the state of Colorado and not by the EPA.
It is, absolutely it is.
Wonderful work, people. I've really enjoyed your presentation today, as I think all of our listeners have. I know that we are beyond time, so I think folks are welcome to contact you, I'm sure, when they have questions or additional questions. And we very much appreciate you for coming today and giving us all of this information. It's been really great. And also for Tyler for being there on the technical side too. So thank you, Kenan and Kindra.
Thank you so much, Beth. Yeah, please, everyone, reach out to us if you have any questions or just want to chat about the tool. We're happy to discuss.
Thank you for your time. Have a great day.
Thank you all.